Imagine, imagine being trapped
Oh, yeah.
in enemy territory
Yeah.
during wartime
Yeah.
and being hunted relentlessly.
Mm-hmm.
Now picture yourself facing this while enduring frostbite, so severe that you have to make a choice.
Oh, wow.
Surrender or amputate your own
Oh,
toes.
my goodness.
This is the true story of Jan Balsered, a Norwegian resistance fighter during World War II, whose escape from the Nazis is nothing short of miraculous.
Mm-hmm.
Today we'll delve into his harrowing journey, exploring his resilience, the bravery of those who aided him, and what his story reveals about the human spirit under unimaginable pressure.
Yeah, what makes Jan's story particularly compelling is how it intertwines with the broader historical context of Norway during World War II. To truly grasp the gravity of his situation, we need to kind of understand what was happening in Norway under Nazi occupation.
Right, so it's the early 1940s, and Norway, like many other European nations, finds itself under Nazi rule. The majority of Norwegians are understandably resistant to this occupation, leading to the rise of a powerful resistance movement.
Exactly. These individuals from all walks of life formed underground networks to disrupt the Nazi regime. They were engaged in espionage, sabotage, and aiding Allied forces, a David versus Goliath struggle playing out in the shadows of the war.
And Jan becomes a part of this intricate resistance web, specifically joining a group known as Company Linge. I understand they were highly trained for these covert operations.
Absolutely. Company Linge was trained by the British Special Operations Executive, or SOE, to carry out sabotage missions against the Nazis. They were essentially elite guerrilla fighters strategically disrupting the Nazi war machine from within occupied Norway. Their missions were audacious, often targeting key infrastructure and supply lines.
One mission that stands out is Operation Claymore, where they successfully destroyed factories producing heavy water, a crucial component for Nazi atomic research. That must have been a major blow to the Nazi war effort.
It was a significant victory for the resistance. Operation Archery was another successful raid, though unfortunately their leader, Captain Martin Linge, was killed in action. Despite this loss, the company persisted, continuing their vital work to sabotage Nazi operations.
And this leads us to Operation Martin, the mission that would irrevocably change Jan's life. Can you tell us about this operation and what went wrong?
Operation Martin aimed to disrupt the Nazi air and sea base in Tromsø, a strategically vital port city in northern Norway. The plan involved using a fishing boat, the Bratholm, to smuggle explosives into the heavily fortified harbor. However, a devastating betrayal shattered their plans.
Sounds like something out of a spy thriller. What happened?
While attempting to connect with a local resistance contact, one of the team members unknowingly revealed the entire operation to a German imposter. They had walked straight into a trap.
That's a nightmare scenario. So what happened next? Did they manage to escape?
They were alerted to the presence of approaching Nazi patrol boats just in time. While they managed to escape the initial encounter, they were relentlessly pursued through the treacherous fjords. Eventually, they found themselves cornered in Toftefjord Bay on the island of Rebbeneseia with nowhere left to run.
So they were trapped. What did they do?
In a desperate act of defiance, they decided to deny the Nazis their target and supplies. They set a time-delayed fuse on the Bratholm loaded with explosives, jumped into a small dinghy, and pushed off just as the fishing boat erupted in a fiery explosion.
Incredibly brave, but they were still under heavy fire, right?
Yes, the Nazis immediately opened fire on the fleeing dinghy, tragically killing one of the men and causing a boat to sink. The remaining 11 men were forced to swim for their lives in the frigid Arctic waters. The chaos, the bone-chilling cold, the desperation, it's almost unimaginable.
It sounds absolutely harrowing. And only one man survived this ordeal.
Yes. Jan Balsrud miraculously managed to swim 70 yards through the icy water, dodging bullets, until he reached the shore of Rebbeneseia. And that, my friend, is where his truly extraordinary journey for survival begins.
Alone, freezing, and hunted on an island teeming with Nazis. It's hard to fathom how he even began to survive.
His first instinct was to find shelter hiding in a ravine. He knew the Nazis were searching for him relentlessly. During this time, he had a close encounter with 2 Nazi soldiers, and in a desperate act of self-preservation, he managed to shoot them, killing one and injuring the other. This bought him some valuable time to escape, but it also painted a target on his back.
So he was armed, but also incredibly vulnerable, especially considering you mentioned he lost a boot during the explosion.
Yes, imagine trying to navigate the snowy, unforgiving terrain in the dead of winter with only one boot. His uniform was frozen solid, offering little protection from the elements.
It's difficult to comprehend how he endured those initial hours, let alone days. He must have been at his breaking point.
Driven by a fierce will to survive and escape back to Allied territory, he pushed on. Later that night, in a moment of pure serendipity, he stumbled upon 2 young girls who, Recognizing his plight led him to the safety of their aunt's home.
A glimmer of hope in the darkness. He must have been incredibly relieved to find some warmth and shelter. Did they help him?
They offered him food and a place to rest by the fire, a brief respite from the relentless pursuit. But he knew he couldn't stay long, not wanting to endanger the family. After regaining some strength, he set out again into the night, his focus unwavering reach Sweden, where he would be safe from the Nazi clutches.
But wasn't Sweden hundreds of miles away? How could he possibly make it that far in his condition?
It was a daunting journey, and he knew he couldn't do it alone. This is where the incredible bravery and compassion of the Norwegian resistance truly shines. Along his perilous route to Sweden, he relied on an intricate network of ordinary people who risked their lives to shelter, feed, and guide him towards safety.
It sounds like a real-life underground railroad operating in secrecy and fueled by courage. Can you tell us more about these encounters? What were they like?
Picture this, he's knocking on the doors of complete strangers. Each encounter a gamble with his life. One woman, a midwife, offered to disguise him as a pregnant woman to help him evade capture. Another man risks his own safety by hiding him from a Nazi neighbor. He even had a boatman under the cover of darkness row him past vigilant Nazi guards. Each encounter is a testament to the unwavering spirit of resistance that permeated Norway during this dark period.
It's really amazing to think that so many ordinary people were willing to put themselves at risk to help John. What impressed you most about these acts of courage?
You know, what strikes me is that these individuals weren't trained soldiers or spies. They were farmers, fishermen, teachers, everyday people who chose to make a stand against tyranny. They weren't driven by ideology or ambition, but by a deep sense of humanity and a commitment to freedom.
Yeah, and justice. It's a powerful reminder that heroism can emerge from the most unexpected places, that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things when united by a common purpose. But let's not forget, while Jan was evading capture, he was also battling the brutal Norwegian winter.
Absolutely. The physical challenges he faced were as formidable as the human threat. He wasn't just running from the enemy, he was fighting for survival against the forces of nature, and as we know, the Arctic winter is unforgiving.
Didn't you mention that he developed severe frostbite on his feet? That must have been excruciating.
The frostbite was so severe that his toes turned black with gangrene. Imagine the pain, the desperation of knowing that without proper medical attention, the infection could spread and become life-threatening.
And of course, he was in no position to seek medical help. What did he do?
This is where Jan's incredible resilience takes center stage alone with limited resources. He used a knife heated over a lamp to try and drain the infection, a desperate attempt to stop the gangrene from spreading. But it wasn't enough.
Oh, he must have been in agony. Did he have any other options?
He knew he needed to take drastic measures to survive. In a small, secluded shed with only basic tools and fueled by sheer determination, he performed multiple amputations on his own toes.
Wow. It's a difficult image to process the level of pain and resolve he must have experienced. It speaks to the strength of the human will to survive.
Yeah.
But even after this ordeal, he still had a long way to go to reach Sweden.
His journey was far from over, and despite the amputations, his condition made traveling on foot incredibly difficult. It was at this point that a kind-hearted fisherman gifted him a new pair of boots and a set of skis, a gesture that would prove crucial to his escape.
So he was able to cover more ground. But this is where the harsh weather conditions dealt him another blow, right?
Yeah.
Didn't you mention snow blindness?
Right, a blizzard hit, disorienting him and pushing him off course. The glare from the snow and ice caused temporary blindness, adding another layer of complexity to his already perilous journey. He was essentially skiing blind, forced to rely on his other senses to navigate the treacherous, unfamiliar landscape.
At this point, wouldn't most people give up, resign themselves to their fate? It just seems insurmountable.
It's hard to imagine the mental fortitude he must have possessed. Yet Jan persevered, refusing to surrender to despair. To navigate through the blizzard, he devised a remarkable technique, throwing snowballs and listening for the sound of them hitting the ground. If he heard nothing, he knew he was approaching a steep drop and had to change direction. It's a testament to his ingenuity and adaptability in the face of seemingly impossible odds.
It's amazing that he survived that initial escape and then spent another 2 weeks on the run in the wilderness.
2 weeks to be precise.
Yeah.
2 weeks of constant movement, hiding, enduring excruciating pain, and overcoming one obstacle after another. And just when you think it can't get any worse, disaster strikes again.
You're kidding? This man couldn't catch a break.
An avalanche.
An avalanche. Oh my goodness.
The avalanche swept him down the mountain, burying him under a mass of snow. When he finally managed to dig himself out, he was disoriented. His vision impaired, his skis broken, and his supplies gone.
I'm exhausted just listening to this. I can't imagine the despair he must have felt. Wouldn't you just give up at that point?
It's understandable to think that way, and there are accounts suggesting that Jan, at this low point, did contemplate ending his own life, a testament to the sheer desperation of his situation. But something within him, perhaps a flicker of hope or an unyielding will to defy his circumstances, kept him going.
So he continued on, battered but not broken. What happened next?
After days of wandering delirious and hallucinating from exhaustion and injury, he stumbled upon a remote village called Furufleten, and here fate, or perhaps something more profound, intervened. The home he stumbled upon belonged to the sister of a resistance member named Mary Skronvold. Imagine the odds of that happening after weeks of solitary struggle.
Wow, what an incredible stroke of luck. He finally found refuge people he could trust. Did they take care of him?
They did their best, offering him shelter in their barn loft, providing food and tending to his wounds. But his condition was dire. The frostbite and gangrene were serious concerns even with their care. He was far from out of danger.
This is where his story takes on a real cloak and dagger feel. Weren't there close calls with Nazi patrols searching for him?
On 2 separate occasions, Nazi patrols came searching the property. Imagine the tension, the fear, as Jan remained hidden in the hayloft, completely silent, while the family bravely risked their lives to protect him.
They were incredibly courageous to shield him from the enemy, knowing the consequences if they were caught. But he couldn't stay there indefinitely. How did they get him out closer to Sweden?
They knew he couldn't travel on foot in his condition, so Marius, along with other members of the resistance, devised a daring plan to transport him by sled.
A sled across miles of snow and mountains? That sounds incredibly difficult, especially given the terrain and the constant threat of Nazi patrols.
It was an audacious plan requiring meticulous planning and unwavering teamwork. To avoid detection, they built the sled in pieces, secretly transporting the parts across a fjord under the guise of a fishing expedition. Once they reached a safe location near Jan's hiding place, they assembled the sled ready for their perilous journey.
It was a covert operation executed with precision and a remarkable level of ingenuity. So they got him on the sled and they were off to Sweden.
The journey was far too treacherous for a single, uninterrupted trek. They faced constant challenges navigating treacherous terrain, unpredictable weather, and the ever-present threat of Nazi patrols. It was a relay race of sorts, with different groups of resistance members taking turns transporting Jan, each leg of the journey fraught with danger and uncertainty.
I can only imagine the mental and physical toll this must have taken on. Jan being passed from one group to another, constantly on edge, never knowing what lay ahead. Were there any more close calls during this phase of his escape?
There were many. One particularly harrowing incident involved hiding Jan in a cramped, isolated shed for days while a fierce blizzard raged outside. They had to wait patiently and silently until the weather cleared enough to continue their journey. It's mind-boggling to think about what he endured physically and mentally. And it's important to remember he wasn't a trained soldier, right?
Right. That's what makes his story all the more extraordinary.
Right.
He was a cartographer by profession, thrust into this unimaginable situation. Yet he rose to the challenge, displaying remarkable courage, resilience, and a deep-seated will to survive.
Yeah.
So they eventually get him close to the Swedish border, closer to freedom. What happens then?
Well, they knew they needed help to navigate the final and most dangerous leg of the journey. This is where the Sami people, the indigenous people of northern Norway, enter the narrative, renowned for their deep connection to the land and expertise in navigating the harsh Arctic terrain that became Jan's lifeline.
It's almost like something out of a legend, isn't it?
Yeah.
The reindeer, the vast frozen expanse.
The Sami people, recognizing the urgency and inherent human need, agreed to help. They attached Jan's sled to a team of reindeer, these strong and sure-footed creatures, and with that, they pulled him through the final stretch across the border and into the safety of Sweden.
Such a powerful image, a man broken but not defeated, carried to freedom by these majestic creatures. It almost feels symbolic, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It speaks to the interconnectedness of humanity and nature, the idea that even in the darkest of times, help can come from unexpected sources. Once across the border, he was finally safe. The Sami people contacted local villagers who in turn alerted the Red Cross. Jan was airlifted to a hospital in Boden, Sweden, marking the end of his harrowing 2-month ordeal. Can you imagine the wave of relief that must have washed over him?
It must have felt like waking up from a nightmare. After 2 months on the run, enduring unimaginable hardship, he was finally safe. It's truly a testament to the human spirit's ability to endure, even in the face of the most extreme adversity.
And what I find remarkable is that even after all he'd been through, his spirit wasn't broken. After recovering from his injuries, he immediately returned to Scotland to train other Norwegian resistance fighters, eager to continue the fight for his country's freedom.
Wow. He didn't simply retreat into recovery. He wanted to actively contribute to help those who were still in danger. That speaks volumes about his character, his unwavering commitment to his cause. It's incredibly inspiring.
It is. And after the war, he returned to Norway, married, had a family, and became an advocate for disabled veterans. He lived a full life, a life that stands as a testament to the power of resilience and the enduring human spirit. But importantly, he never forgot the sacrifices made by those who helped him escape. He honored their courage and recognized their vital role in his survival.
And this brings us to the legacy of his story, which is equally as important as the events themselves. What lessons can we draw from Jan's experience, from the bravery of those who risk everything to help him?
Well, his story underscores the importance of resilience, the ability to adapt and persevere, even when faced with seemingly insurmountable obstacles. It also highlights the interconnectedness of humanity, the profound impact that even small acts of courage and kindness can have, especially in times of crisis.
It's a potent reminder that we are not meant to face hardship alone, and that even in the darkest of times, hope, courage, and compassion can prevail. There's another dimension to this story that I think is important to mention. Years later, Jan's cousin, Tor Haug, felt that previous accounts of Jan's escape, while thrilling, missed a crucial element.
Yeah, he felt they didn't give enough recognition to the unsung heroes, the ordinary Norwegians, who without hesitation risked everything to help Jan. Their selfless acts of bravery deserve to be honored, their stories woven into the larger narrative of Jan's escape.
So to rectify this, Tor co-authored a book called Defiant Courage, which tells the stories of these individuals alongside Jan's. It's a testament to the collective effort, the unwavering spirit of community that made Jan's survival possible.
It serves as a powerful reminder that history is made not just by individuals, but by communities united by a common purpose. Jan's story wouldn't exist without the ordinary people who chose to stand with him to defy tyranny and protect one of their own.
It's a truly remarkable story, one that resonates on so many levels. But I'm curious, if you were in Jan's position, how do you think you would have reacted to each challenge? Could you have endured the cold, the hunger, the constant fear of capture the pain?
It's a question that forces us to confront our own perceived limitations, our own capacity for resilience and courage. It also prompts us to consider the power of human connection, the importance of community in times of crisis. Could Jan have survived without the unwavering support of those who helped him? It's highly unlikely. His story underscores the profound impact of collective action, of shared purpose in the face of adversity.
His story is also a testament to the power of hope. Even when all seemed lost, when the odds were stacked against him, Jan never gave up. He clung to the belief that he would reach safety, that he would see his homeland free again. And that hope, that unwavering belief, fueled his survival.
His story is a beacon of inspiration, reminding us that even in the darkest of times, hope can sustain us, can drive us forward, can ignite the courage we need to persevere.
So what does this all mean for us, for those of us listening today? What can we take away from Jan Balsered's incredible story? I think for me it's a reminder that courage takes many forms. It's not always about grand gestures or acts of defiance, but about the quiet, everyday acts of compassion, the unwavering belief in something greater than ourselves, and the will to endure even when faced with unimaginable hardship.
It's a story that challenges us to consider the limits of human endurance, the extraordinary capacity of the human spirit to overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles. It's a story about resilience, about the power of community, about the enduring strength of hope.
And if this deep dive into Jan Balsered's story has left you wanting to learn more, we encourage you to seek out the books and documentaries mentioned. His is just one of many inspiring tales from World War II, a reminder of the courage, resilience, and unwavering hope that helped defeat tyranny and shape the world we live in today.